Like it.
Oh yeah, politics, people, discussion. We are Morehead City politics, but uh, it, the shorter is better. We are your source of entertainment and information when it comes to Morehead City politics. I am here with Jeff Brown. Jeff, how you doing?
What are you doing? Good evening. Good evening, Morehead City. Hope everybody out there is staying warm.
Yeah. It's supposed to be pretty
Uh,
cold
how are
in
you
the
doing
teens,
today?
I think.
It's been an interesting day. I'm a little. I mean, it's one of those things. I definitely didn't see it coming. Of course, I mean, I don't want to say of course, but we're referring to the resignation of the city manager, Chris Turner. I don't know anything more than anyone else knows, so it's not. It was definitely. I did not expect it. I mean, I really didn't. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. It is a huge win for Lee. This is Jerry Jones's. He appointed Turner. He's not able to control the board in order to keep his guy.
Right.
And as far as like people that wanted stability, kind of keep things the same with Jerry. Well, not anymore. There's gonna be a lot of turnaround. I wonder if he's the first of a few.
I don't know. I don't know, and I don't see it now. Now I don't know the history of. I mean, and it's like I said, I've had my private message and Facebook flooded with different uh different hearsay, basically rumors and this and that on how Chris Turner got his job and what was supposed to happen. But again, I don't have any definite. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't know if the mayor had if he was crucial in getting Chris the job permanently, so to speak. It was supposed to be an interim job, is what I heard. So for him to have when he
Yeah, but
so
not. I think in 20, he hired him in 23.
mhm,
Maybe as an interim, but he became full time. Maybe last year or maybe
right,
23.
right.
He was interim, and then he was at this point full time, and it pretty much was Turner's guy. Folks saw Turner as Jones administration's engine, growth,
Okay.
development,
Okay.
the works.
Well,
And
yeah, yeah, but and with that, and again, I'm not. I'm trying to stay as objective as possible at this point. That definitely after receiving the you know, public release of the minutes and everything like that. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't just Chris Turner making all the decisions. He was definitely getting guidance and approval and from the city council. He was. It was in there. It was in the minutes. Like you said, there were several notes and several minutes that everyone continued to move forward and people weren't in objection, and that is what it is. And he carried out. I'm not saying that he definitely probably wasn't a voice. He was definitely a voice in there for sure. He had a strong presence in the city council meetings, I would say.
yeah. I mean, this was his project.
Right.
He was trying to move this forward, and the question is how much did he resign? How much was he made to resign? I mean, he cited family problems in his resignation. Um, and here's the thing: it may have been him. It may have been a mutual thing, as with his frustration that he put forth, Grant, Project Grandeur,
Mhm.
and he didn't really get the backing. I mean, they all voted against it, so he maybe felt betrayed and like, screw you guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to take to the streets. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
ripping, but
I don't I don't know either. I know that well, you look at the voting, you look at the voting history, and yes, they all voted 5-0 when the entire city was sitting basically at their doorstep. You know what I mean? There's a
yeah.
I just wonder how it would have went had we not have known. I mean, I don't wonder. I'm because I kind of think that it probably would have got voted to move forward again, probably with a majority vote. Not a complete 5-0. Maybe it would have been another 3-2 vote. I think that pressure was on the city council, sitting city council members that had voted in favor of it prior, because now they're looking the people in the face. And there's a big difference when the room's full of everybody as opposed to when there's like 6 people in there.
Yeah. Um, I think that he has been made the scapegoat. I mean, if he was made to resign or asked to resign, I think they do say is asked to resign, but in
Right.
this closed meeting. But I don't think he actually went on his own accord. But could it be that he's the scapegoat, right? Like, okay, this whole grandeur thing needs a martyr. The mob needs the blood. I don't know, but
You know what, and I agree with you, and it's not that whoever's out there listening, I'm not defending Chris Turner's actions or Chris Turner's statements, but again, yes, they definitely threw him under the proverbial bus and drove it over him today. I would say, who knows what was said behind closed doors, and he got 3 months severance pay, so it wasn't
it's kind of
whatever
nasty.
the terms were. They were mutual to say enough that they were. To me, if they had enough to just outright fire him, they would have done it, right? What would be the point in cutting him a severance package? If
Well,
if someone's Go ahead.
I don't think they wanted to fire him. I mean, he has too many connections. I mean, that would have been a real slap in the face
Well,
and
it
then
would
that
have.
would have looked bad on them.
I mean, would it
It
have?
would.
Would it have?
I think so because
If
it would have said, like, especially for Jerry Brown, it would have looked. I mean, Jerry.
Jerry
I was saying
Jones.
that Jerry Jones.
That's all right. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. We did
Jerry
not mean.
Brown. I think who's that? That's like the
Jerry Brown was the mayor of California like
mayor of
100 years
California.
ago.
Yeah,
I mean, the governor of
remember that.
California 100 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. He was friends with Kamala.
Yeah,
No,
he's a Democrat.
Mayor Jones. He, like I said, he's friends with Chris, and I don't think he
Yeah,
wanted to, like, just totally just banish him. I think this
right,
kind of works out to where he can at least have say that this is because of family issues, and
right,
it's
right.
mutual, what have you. But I do think that he was a scapegoat here. When I think particularly when he said, that thing about the silent voices, thousands of silent voices that
Right.
wanted this to go through,
Yes.
like, that was a huge mistake. And now,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
when he had
sometimes
said
we
it
all
though,
say,
but this is curious to me because you were just calling for his resignation not too long ago. What happened?
me?
Yeah, on
Oh, I'm not
Facebook.
saying that I'm not in favor of it. I didn't expect it to happen.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't. I did say that, and I will. Hey, I'm not reversing on what I've said about Chris Turner or the statements he made.
I just thought you'd
Or
be more happy.
you know what, man? In light of everything that's gone on in the last week, and to include myself, and to include, and I'm not getting in the weeds, but with myself and Lee, I just get burnt out on the negative, dude. And
Yeah,
and
I
and
know.
it's not, and I was quoting, Proverbs chapter 24, verse 17, right? Where
I
God
saw that.
basically
That's a
says,
good
don't
verse to
rejoice
remember.
in your enemies' failures, because the Lord will turn his wrath away. And I just don't think that it's good for anybody, right? And it seems, and I hate to keep using this word repetitively, but right now this is a microcosm of exactly what is going on politically across our entire country, because
How? What do you mean?
we want, well, if you don't like someone and you don't like a politician, or you don't like a certain anybody that's in government, and they get fired and people just want to go in on them, and oh, I'm glad you're ruined, and I want your, it's just like the negative, and just all the comments on Facebook. And that's fine. You want to make comments, again, but he does have a family, he does have children, they do go to school around here, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
look, no, we're not happy with what he said. We're not happy with the things he did, he's done. Of course, but at the same time, it's like, look, yeah, I mean, you got to rub people's face in it. I've said stupid things over my life. I've done some dumb things, made poor decisions, and we all have. And again, I'm not condoning his behavior. I'm not reinforcing it. I did call for his resignation. I thought it probably would have came sooner, but it didn't. And just like the email he sent to, city council, it's basically like, hey, I've been doing this with your direction. Does somebody else want to say, hey, I was voting basically, and they did. There's some people that threw him under the bus for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they should also take responsibility for their part in it and their knowledge in it. I think they should all take responsibility for their knowledge in it, because
I mean, I think they did. They voted it down. I don't want to prosecute them for coming up with an idea of development.
No, I don't either.
If they'd taken it further, though, it would have been bad, but they didn't.
Right. I still haven't heard them come out as a whole and say, I don't know. I don't know what I expect them to do. I really don't expect them to do anything at this point. I think they're kind of hoping it's going to go away. Right. But again, there's a ton of other red flags in that audio besides Project Grandeur. And there's a few of the council members that have made comments, to include about the plans that they wanted to implement for taking over downtown Morehead City, Inc., where, I don't know whose voice it was specifically, but they stated, one councilman said, well, we can't just like take it, we got to be careful. It's a 501c3. We can't just force them to give it to us. And another one says, no, but we can basically kick them out of the building, and we can cut their funding in order to take it over, basically. And I'm like, well, that's not
take what over.
Well, to take over the interest, and basically, the down to the functions like Five Alive and all the stuff that's what Chris Turner was involved in, that whole thing too. And that's what I saw. It's like, everybody needs to go back and listen. There's a lot more going on in that meeting than just Project Grandeur that shows a lack of, oversight in total by all city council members. Because, I'll bring it up. Elijah's Landing. The entire sidewalk in front of us, Elijah's Landing, is not in ADA compliance. How does that happen? Well, it happens because somebody, I've built things before, and especially when it comes to concrete pours, I'll tell you what, concrete pours on construction jobs are always high stress because they're high dollar and they're expensive to repair if you screw it up. And normally the superintendent's going to back check the work. He's going to go back check it. He's going to set up his, I can't even think of it now. He's going to be there when the concrete company hopefully is laying it out, and he's going to back check his measurements. And I'm not putting blame specifically on the city inspector, but he's the one that signs off, comes and inspects it before the final pour, right? He has to give his okay to say, oh, rebar's up to code. This is up to code, such and such. I give the thumbs up. And he should have at least done some calculations. Cause I was running.
When you say it's not, compliant, what do you mean? Like
so the slope, apparently the slope, there's been a change in the ADA as far as the regulation from what actually Chris Turner brought it up as far as what the slope is required on the sidewalk. It's supposed to be 2%, and it's over that right now, which means
is it over by a ton, or is it just over?
Well, it's over that it's not within compliance, and they're going to have to apparently go back in and jackhammer it out and pour new concrete to make it in compliance. Every panel in front of it. And that's what I mean, that, like I said, I did a job, and we went out and we checked it, and the slope was off, and we had to fix it. We had myself, I was like, hey man, we got to fix this. And when it comes to ADA, and that was the thing, even with that job, my boss was not that things didn't pass inspection, but he's like, look, everything ADA needs to be right on. He's like, just make sure specifically go. I mean, from the amount of room that the stalls in the bathroom have to swing, so that the wheelchairs, I mean, it's huge. ADA compliance is huge. Where now I don't know who's going to pay for it. If the properties, well, the developer should pay for it, right? But what they're going to come back and say is, well, the city planner or the city engineer inspector signed off. So again, there's things like that, or the fact there was no traffic impact survey done. To me, there needs to be more oversight with these projects, these construction projects and developments, when it comes to final inspections or approving them for whatever reason. And there hasn't been.
Well, and that would have been up to Chris, right?
Well, he's the city manager. No, the city engineer and the city inspectors are the ones
reports to him.
They're the ones that they do. I'd have to look it up. Yes, I believe you are correct, but when it comes to it, he's not out there. He's not the duty expert that knows the code, that knows all the codes to say, right, this isn't ADA compliant, I believe. Or maybe he is. I'll have to look it up. I don't want to speak outside of my knowledge. I try not to, but that somebody should have caught it. And it wouldn't have been that big of a fit. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It would have just probably been like, we need to take some dirt out, right? Now you're going to have to jackhammer concrete and a lot of
it. One of the things that came out in my interview with Lee was that that the Big Rock company is pretty influential. They give tons of money to the government of Moorhead, and that's a little concerning to me. One, mainly, like I love the Big Rock and the Big Rock tournament, and it only happens for like a week, or I mean, like a small portion of our summer. And they're going to have a huge influence on, the kinds of things that happen outside of the time that they are here and doing things, So, I mean, that's a question for me. Is like, is that something we want to look into? Is that something that
I hear you. There's so many. What do you want to say? You don't say rabbit holes. I don't know what you want to say. To go down to, because I think that goes back into the comment, the heavy hitters that are involved, right? That's answers we need to know. Who are these heavy hitters you're referring to? To me, when someone says heavy hitters, you're telling me someone's pulling the strings, right? Heavy investors, someone that's putting a lot of money into it. And they were one of the investors. I would love to sit down and talk with them too. I'd love to hear what everybody has to say, but people, it's probably better. We're probably, better chance of having, I don't know.
That's interesting. Up until like the tax raise, and then the botched election, and then the Project Grandeur, up until all this happened, and it's sort of a confluence of errors that woke people up. I really think most people in Carter County just didn't really care. There's like a small group of people that would go to meetings and would pay attention. But I think there's a bigger group of people that are paying attention now. And like for example, there's no polling. There's no polling in the city at all. There's no, nobody has any idea where anybody stands on anything. So when Chris said like the silent majority, I mean, he's kind of right. There was thousands of people that didn't even care.
Yes, I do understand what his thought process was on that. And he was kind of right in a way, but no one really knew about it. Right. Yeah. And had people known. And that's what I was talking about. I made a little video talking about, we need to be more proactive instead of reactive in politics. And that includes all the city council leaders. I understand the confidentiality of closed meetings. I do understand that. However,
help me understand it. Why do they have to have that? Just because
Well,
the
there's
disruption and
so
stuff?
like I loosely know the rules, but the purpose mainly it usually has to do with contracts, personnel hiring and firing, and things that have to do with financial dealings with the city. I don't know that Project Grandeur should have been closed meetings, really, just because of the nature of it, where it's a development. And the only reason I can see that they had closed meetings is because they knew what the reaction would be, right? As soon as it became public, it was, well, that what happened happened, right? As soon as it became public, they knew. Or, obviously everybody was like, wait a second, what's going on? They're going to do what? And that's why I say that, in my interview, I even mentioned, and I said, I've heard from numerous people, and I don't need to say names, and I won't, that are small business owners that, they want to get involved, but everyone's afraid of the city council because, well, I got to get permits for this and permits for that. And I'm just like, man, is that really how it's been going on? Is that really how we run business?
Yeah, that, by the way, shout out to you. Saw you on, was it TV today?
Yeah.
You're featured there.
They kind of, I said, there was a quote they used, and I said, there was, zero disregard. I meant to say it was a disregard for anyway, I guess the point got across. I was like, I would notice it because I'm my own worst critic, but
yeah, I don't think
hey, real quick, I just want to give a shout out. If you're out there watching, we appreciate it. Also, I believe they can make comments, correct?
Yeah.
Feel free to
Anybody
make comments.
can comment on the video. I'm thinking, there may be some.
Feel free to share it amongst your friends. We're also on YouTube.
Yeah, comment on Facebook, on I think we're on Twitter, Moorhead Politics, MHC Politics. If you I could put the link actually in our comment section where we are. But in the meantime, what do you think about what is so one of the things that I also another thing I talked to Lee about was the fact that they have $2 million that was appropriated for them for the Marlin Stadium or whatever you want to call it, that spot, and they really haven't done anything with it yet. Instead, they were focusing on this the grandeur thing. Now they're sort of turning their attention back to that, but I'm afraid they're going to lose that money or even if they don't lose it, they're going to lose anybody giving them money in the future if they don't start getting on with it, and doing something with the money.
I'm curious also because the Marine Corps owns that property now, right? Well, that could be a revenue source for the city if it's some type of logistics base or something, or most little bases or most little government, military government facilities also have civilian employees, right? There's a lot of civilian employees. I don't know what's going on with that. That'd be something I'm gonna make note of that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do some research and find out, because it would be interesting to see what they're gonna do with, what was that, Project Blue Marlin? Is that what it's called or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
And that's a good question. What are they going to do? What's the Marine Corps' intent? I don't know if they're going to use it for some type of amphibious, style training center, maybe kind of like a.
No, it's for the baseball stadium. I think they're gonna expand it to have I don't know. I should have gotten more into that, but I think he actually mentioned some things that they've planned. He talked about how they had this is for the baseball stadium, expanding for more activities for kids and stuff like that. Involvement. So I don't know if that's a Project Blue Marlin or the Marlin Stadium. They call it a stadium, but it's just that where they play baseball.
Right. Well, I know they just signed a deal with Carteret Community College because the college is standing up a baseball team.
That was the second part of it. Yeah.
And that they signed a contract for them to play there. So they'll be getting money for that. So that's good. There's a source of revenue from the college, right? As far as helping to upkeep anyway on that. And something I mentioned too was, well, why can't we come up with a version of Project Grandeur that allows the Redfish Grill and Olympus Dive Center to remain where they're at?
Yeah.
Right. we can't come up with something to work around it, to build around it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
well,
why was that not an, and again, the players that were involved and what was proposed to go there, is, is it's subjective to
well, Lee
confirmation.
basically told me it was because that's what that's what Big Rock wants. And I've heard actually from other places that there's a little corner of this.
Right.
So, so the what is it? The Purfoy family. They own that
Yeah.
whole triangle right there, and they actually I heard that they gave a little that little piece that where the rock is now to them, and that I've heard rumblings. Now this is unsubstantiated um, that the Big Rock company would wants more space. There's been a
Right.
little cramped. They need bigger. They need more
Yeah.
elbows in
That's what the buzz is around town. And some of the old timers, at the gym were like, oh, they've been wanting that property forever. And so again, I'd love to have a conversation to hear, Big Rock's side of it. I don't know that would ever happen, but
I don't even know if
I'd
they're
be open
around.
to it.
Yeah, I'd like to find out who would we talk to. If anybody knows, leave us a
You can get on
comment.
there. They have a board of directors.
Yeah, are they?
Um,
Do they live around here?
yeah, they're local.
We
There's
gotta
a
find
public
out.
affairs. Believe they have a public affairs. Um, and it'd be like, I would like, and that's what I mean. I'd like to get everybody's input. We're only getting selective people's input, and just putting that out there. If you're watching, we're not going to try to get you on here and get you in a gotcha moment, right? That's not our style. We're just going to ask real questions. It's not going to try to get you in some gotcha stuff.
Yeah,
I think
you just seem
it'd be important to give everybody a chance to at least speak their piece, so the people can at least judge for themselves, instead of, like you said, we hear stuff, we hear things, but we can't validate it
that's
until.
right. We can't substantiate it.
Yeah.
And you can look at my interview with Lee. I have not been a huge Lee supporter. I think I am more now that I've talked to him. But I was mostly worried about taxes, that him raising taxes. But after talking to him, still worried about it. but but
Well,
I do think there are some things like I was just fair and fair and approachable is how I try to do. Both of us do
mhm.
interviews. So if anybody wants to come on, and I do want to get. Now, do you know anything about the sheriffs that are running?
I very little, very little.
Yeah,
I guess maybe we
uh,
better look into that too,
I
huh?
think that yeah, that should be the next place to go. I really wanted to interview both of them. I did see one video that was pretty good by I forget who it was though. So
ASA
I do
Buck.
want to look more into it. Huh?
Who's running? I need to look into that.
Yeah, Taylor and I don't know. That's a good question.
Put that on the to-do list.
So by the way, I kept calling it the Marlin Stadium. I think that's what the colloquials call it, but it's actually Big Rock Stadium.
Okay.
By the way, that they are going to be working on. They have 2 million in state appropriation that they got back in 2024. We're in 2026 now. The goal is to improve fan experience, update facilities and amenities, host more tournaments, community events, and drive economic impact. So,
My question is also coming up is, what has the county board of elections done to ensure at all the polling stations that everyone is properly informed, that they have the proper, um, whether it's a tablet or whatever type of device? Because when all this first went down, I was researching, and you can get online actually and fill out if you didn't get a provisional ballot and all this other stuff. And that, have they had, I mean, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they've had some type of I'd call it a stand down and maybe some remedial training on what validates their residency inside the city limits, what IDs can be taken, what IDs can't be taken. And even that, should we have some citizen volunteers that are just hanging out watching, just standing there watching, right? That way, should there be discrepancies again, and God, let's pray that there's not, at least somebody can say, well, I directly saw this poll worker do this or not do that. Not, well, it was the Professor Plum in the library with the candlestick.
Yeah.
I think, kind of thing. And that was my thing too during the entire hearing, that we didn't get to hear from any of the poll workers that were accused, so
Yeah.
hopefully we've
Yeah.
dealt with that.
I mean, that's a really good question. You'd think after the debacle that happened last year that folks would come out. That I'm not sure who's in charge of all that, but it'd be nice if somebody came out and said, "Look, we have fixed some of these problems. If the Board of Elections could give us a little update on, hey, last time we were really kind of confused about what constituted a vote."
Well, and on, I think in actuality, the one gentleman could have gone home and got his passport and came back.
Yeah.
He openly said, "Well, I just got frustrated and I left." Well, that's kind of your fault, man. It's kind of your fault. But here we are. We're going to have the early voting starts, I believe, February 13th, February 12th. I'd have to look.
Yeah, I think it's 12th.
Soon.
February 12th. And then it will be interesting to see who, what kind of corrections they've done to the voting. Now, I looked up who is running for sheriff, and I think we need to probably effort this a little bit more, but it looks like John Nyberg, who is Buck's current chief deputy.
Okay.
He's looking to step up. He's the first one to file. And then there's Shane Guthrie, retired sergeant from Pitts County Sheriff's Office.
Right.
There's no Democrats at all who have filed for running. These are just Republicans.
See, I think there's certain offices that should, once you it should be a nonpartisan. You shouldn't be able to, I don't think you should be able to claim an affiliation to a political party, especially something like law enforcement, because justice is supposed to be blind, right? So if you go in there saying, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm an independent, you're already stating your ideology and what you're going to support and what you're not going to support. And that's not what true justice is about.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. This is the second time I've heard them referred to as Republicans. I'm not sure. Oh, because the GOP primary.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Whoever wins so it's just the GOP primary. There is no Democratic primary. But like you said, I don't understand. Well, I guess there has to be some kind of party affiliation. So I'm not sure.
I guess, but I would say that there's even talking. I just think there's too much meddling with politics in itself and influence when it comes to politicians and the legal system, right? You've got the Constitution. That's the supreme law of the land. The Supremacy Clause states no law can be written to supersede the Constitution, right? Now, yes, you can have state laws and city ordinances and whatnot. And with that, though, that I just feel that in law enforcement and those type of jobs, that politics have no place. Like, your job is to, protect the peace of the people and ensure the safety of the public, not push a political agenda. Your job.
But it is a political position, though. It's something.
Oh no, it is. By all means, it is. It is.
So I think that we're always going to have to deal with the impact of politics on this particular position. And there are certain things that play into this. There are some Democrats that believe that Barack Obama said that the Constitution was a living document, and that different ways of looking at the Constitution, different ways of looking at laws, and some people prefer the conservative way of looking at things is sort of static, and some people on the left prefer looking at these documents and laws as ongoing and living, changeable.
from what I have read and just read over the years, when there's a spirit and intent of the law, right? And when I look at the when he says the Constitution is a living document, I see it as it can be amended, right? You can make a you can add they can vote, they can make an amendment to the Constitution. So it's a living document. That means it can be updated, or an amendment can be amended. Is that the right thing
Yeah,
to say? You can
yeah,
amend an amendment. Um, that's what I think it refers to. Um, I think that a lot of laws, and a lot of, whether it's, the North Carolina General Statute or the California Penal Code, which are basically the laws of both states, they're subject to interpretation. And like you said, like there's the spirit of it and there's the intent. Some are more harsh, where it's like, okay, do we really need to do this? Like it's, like jaywalking or something, right? Who knows? Something minor. Um, that, and it's also on how it's worded. Also, they're worded differently, like when it comes to different crimes or whatever, whether it's a and an or in there, meaning it could be, okay, does it say and or does it say this specifically? But regardless, the Constitution is the ultimate, unless there's been something to amend one of the amendments, or to change one of the amendments in the Constitution. When it comes down to it, you could probably argue any and most, other than obviously murder or something like that, like laws that are in most states, to say that's unconstitutional. Whether it's freedom of speech, Fifth Amendment, Fourth Amendment, 14th Amendment, all the
yeah,
amendments,
yeah.
and including, not to get into the big Second Amendment debate, but when it basically, there's nothing in there that says you have to have a permit, that you have to go to the sheriff's department and get training to get a concealed carry permit, or nothing like that. And
Well,
that,
and I think that that's where there is some discrepancies between the two parties.
yeah. Yeah, well, again, I've said for a while, I said, to me, the the Constitution is to the right, as far as virtue signaling, what civil rights are to the left. Is both of them have their I think their, what would I say, like their belief systems, and what they're really going to stand on. And I think that a lot of times the right likes to stand on the Constitution. And by the way, I love our country and I love our Constitution. So let's not get that out there that I'm like promoting taking
Yeah,
away rights. But I'm just saying, I just see it. They use it to virtue signal. They do. They really do. I see that the right uses.
I think they call it red meat, right? Red meat for the
I don't know. I
Constitution.
haven't heard that, but kind of just like, I don't know if the right word, if it's gonna hurt feelings, but kind of like the woke stuff, on the left, that they have certain things that they like to always hit on. They got certain words and certain terms, and they use them. And I think that the right likes to fall heavy on the virtue of the Constitution and freedom. And again, there's all open interpretations, and whether people think you should be able to carry an AR-15 on the street with a fully loaded magazine, or that's ridiculous, or the other side that, that, like I said, it's, to me, I don't declare a party anymore. I'll just put that out there. I don't even, I mean,
Really?
would I consider myself an independent? Probably independent, libertarian-ish. I
Hmm.
just I just can't do it. I can't do it. Like, I have some liberal views, believe it or not, on some stuff. Probably people are like, oh, really? Yeah. I mean, not nutty. And I think both sides have gone crazy on both sides. There's no, it's, that's what I mean. It's like, are there, are there,
Well,
are there normal people out here anymore? Do we all just, there's like a happy center, I mean, is it, you're either all this or you're all that, and it's chaos.
certainly has been chaos, and that's why I think it's important, and to come back to this idea of talking to the people themselves. And so I'd like to reach out to to the various sheriffs, and well, obviously to Mayor Jerry Jones, to John Nyberg, Shane Guthrie, anybody who's running. I'd like to just get them on, pick their brain, even if it's just for like 5 minutes. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be the full like 1 hour interview like I did with Lee. It can just be like certain things, like we just hit 3 or 4 points.
Yeah. Well, I'll do some research. I'll reach out and see if I can
Yeah.
make contact with them and just say, hey, we're just tiny little Morehead City politics here. We'd just like to hear, we'd like to hear what you got to say. If you'd like to, put a little video out to tell us what you're about, what's going on, see what they say, couldn't hurt. I mean, look, we got one viewer, dude. We're killing it. We're killing it.
Well, I think we have run out of time, and so run out of attention. So appreciate everybody who has come in and who's watching, and appreciate you. Feel free to leave a comment. This will be up on both of our Facebooks for now, and mostly it'll be go to YouTube. You can see it down. You can kind of see it down. Let me put it more. YouTube / more at Morehead Politics for our channel. Where you'll see more things. You can check out our podcast, interviews, anything we do. So,
and real quick,
if
you don't mind, I want to give a shout out to our local downtown restaurants, Redfish Grill. Go get some chow there. Check out Olympus Dive Center when it's time to dive. By the way, they didn't ask me to say any of this, just so people know. And also Full Circle Cafe, Jack's Bar and Grill, all the local places. I know there's a ton more down there. Hey, let's support our local restaurants and our local businesses. And let's be a real community around here, Morehead City.
Hey, what's your favorite place to eat in Morehead, by the way? If we had to go right now, I'm like, or not.
I would go to Full Circle Cafe. I have a tradition. I go there and I get their steak. I don't say this lightly. I'm telling you, it is the best steak I've eaten probably in the continental United States. And I've been from Washington to Oregon to California to Oklahoma to Georgia to Alabama to Florida to Alaska. I'm telling you, I love it. I really do. Their steak, it's perfectly cooked, and I'm not just saying it because I happen to know people. It legitimately is. I've never had a bad steak. It's always evenly cooked, however you want it. It's a really. Nice. If we had said let's right now, I'd say let's go get a steak right now. I was gonna go. I was actually thinking about. I may still go. Who knows?
Yeah, if they're open. I also want to shout out my cousin's business, femalefunctionalmed.com. Female functional medicine for personalized holistic care to achieve hormone balance and radiant health. Nice. Check it out if you are a lady who could use help with something outside of the mainstream doctor.
I recommend it. Also, shout out to the Sports Center. Come on in, get your Sports Center action on. We got pools, we got trainers, we got weights, we got bikes, we got spin.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll
see one of us there in the morning.
What's that paddle game everybody likes to play?
Paddle game? Oh,
pickleball. I sound like an old man. What's that paddle game? What's that darn paddle game those kids like to play? That pickleball.
Well, we have run out of time. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you guys. Take to you later.